All right, everyone. Welcome to the DC Women's Pillow Talk podcast. My name is Macy, and I actually am really excited to introduce the newest host for Pillow Talk, and she's going to introduce our guests as well as take over this podcast and all future podcasts. Please welcome the one and only Sybil Schaefer.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Kate is so mad at me because I've been from her all day. I'm sorry, Kate.
It would be you.
But your Orioles hat looks great.
Thanks. So does your poison ivy.
Very deadly this evening.
As a former fan favorite guest, Sybil is perfect for the job, and I know she's going to do great for everyone. So I am going to let her introduce our guests for this evening and take over the podcast while I fade out into the background. And thanks everyone for listening and tuning in.
Thank you, Macy.
Of course.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take over from here then. I'm Sybil. I play on Lanyap. I live in New Orleans. I was thinking we could start off with everybody introducing themselves and saying what their established team is. And if you're not playing with your established team this weekend, if you could share with everyone your availables team. So let's go ahead and start with Prisa.
Oh, I thought you was like, who? Chevy.
That's you, girl.
My name is Chevy. I go I with BJ. I was originally with All In, but I'll be making my debut with BJ's this weekend. So I'm really excited about that.
That's so exciting, and I absolutely want to pick your brain about Atlanta kickball in a little while, so be prepared for that. I've got some questions for you. Great. Jamie?
Hi, my name is Jamie, and I'm the captain of Darkwing Ducks. And then I play with Hammerheads on Saturdays.
Awesome. All right, Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm one of the newest additions to Ish, though we have newer ones this weekend, which we're really excited about. I just moved to the East Coast, used to be with Valley Fever back in the day. And since my co-ed team is also West Coast, I am playing availables Saturday.
Awesome. What availables team are you playing on?
True Detective.
Great. Did you design the jerseys?
I did. They're going to be beautiful.
Of course they are. Well, I know Macy likes to kind of start off with a little icebreaker, something that we can kind of all say and answer to sort of get the nerves out. So since I'm dressed as Poison Ivy, my question for y'all is going to be about superheroes, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So if I could get Jamie to start and tell me who your favorite superhero is and why.
Oh man, that's so tough.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot. There are so many.
It's okay. I really, as a kid, liked watching the X-Men cartoons, and Gambit was my favorite. So we'll go with Gambit.
Gambit is great, and Gambit is rumored to be where I'm from, in Louisiana. I love the accent.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Are you into cosplay or costuming or anything?
No, I've never really gotten into that. I think it's neat, but it's just not something I've ever done.
Cool. Please, how about you?
Chevy. But I love the X-Men fan as well. And Storm always, she can make it storm, it rain. Whenever you need her to come in, and it's always about their life. So she's my favorite.
Awesome. Good choice. Kate, how about you?
I'm going to go new Marvel and say Jessica Jones, specifically because she's like normal human being, but then like kind of mutanish, has that extra strength going on. But she's also just a badass chick. So I'm all about the badass chicks.
I loved her show.
Yeah, great choice. When I'm not dressed as a supervillain, I'm usually Team Wonder Woman. I've always been really self-conscious about my height, so being an Amazon and being regarded as probably the greatest Amazon is sort of a role I try to identify with. So I'm a big fan of Wonder Woman. Speaking of all these influential women that we're touching on, I kind of wanted to jump into our first question, which is about the direction of women's kickball. Maybe where it's going, if it's kind of escalating, if it's not doing so hot, and why, and what changes need to be made if necessary. And Chevy, I'm so sorry I messed up your name. I was told Priza, and you know what, I like you as both identities personally, but Chevy is also great, very sassy. If you want to go ahead and start us off with the answer to that question, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I think it's pretty badass that they started doing women's tournaments, you know, on Fridays. I'm kind of new to the circuit. You know, I think this is like my third year, somewhere in there. So just seeing that kind of escalate, I think it's pretty dope. I feel like that's a direction that's going in the right direction. Let the women get their tournaments out the way so we can have fun for the rest of the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. How do you think it's coming along? They've moved it to Fridays for some tournaments, which is really great. Where do you think it's headed? Do you think it's headed in a positive direction? Do you think anything needs to change to improve it?
Oh, no, absolutely. I think it's going in a great direction. And I would love to see more of them as, you know, the tournament progress and, you know, turnouts continue to get better. And I just love it. And I feel like the women's side is becoming more and more competitive. So on any given day, you don't know who's going to win any tournament. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is pretty dope. And you're playing on a great team, so I'm sure everyone's really looking forward to seeing your debut. Kate, what about you? What are your thoughts on women's kickball?
I'm also pretty relatively new to kickball. This might be my third year, not really sure. I will say that there's a huge difference between East Coast women's and West Coast women's, and I really wish that more of the East Coast teams would travel to the West Coast, because I feel like there's a lot of tournaments out there that don't necessarily get the big turnouts like DC or Atlanta do, and I feel like that might be hurting us a little bit, just because I'm sure that 365 isn't necessarily making money off of it. So I don't know where that's going to head necessarily. I know that I've seen conversations on like the Facebook group about getting rid of women's, or like just having women's only tournaments. So I don't know. I mean, I hope it continues to progress, because I think there's a lot of us that really only continue to play circuit because we get to play on women's, because I don't think that women really, you know, get that full effect on co-ed. But I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's pretty awesome.
What do you think 365 or the circuit can do to encourage the West Coast?
I have no idea. I mean, because a lot of it, sorry, that is my small, tiny dog barking. She thinks she's big. I think a lot of it is just that it gets really expensive to fly to the West Coast. I mean, for instance, like I flew back to Arizona because obviously my home teams are there, but it was a $400 ticket. So, you know, especially if the tournaments are continuing to be small and the competition isn't going to be as, you know, as big or as deep, then I think it's more of just a travel cost type thing. I mean, I think, who was the team a few years ago that traveled to like every single tournament, that they were able to do that because they won CCC? Like, that's the only thing that I've ever seen work. Otherwise, it's just super expensive for everybody, especially if you don't have a co-ed team and you're only traveling for women's.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart way to spend your CCC earnings, because if you break it out amongst everyone, you can probably afford a couple trips out west. Ooh, okay, how about you?
I love women's kickball. I think it's so fun, and I feel like it has helped keep a lot of women around that maybe were on the verge of retiring from co-ed, just because it's so enjoyable.
Great, awesome. Well, I just made a couple notes. I actually think in a way, and obviously I don't want to shed any negative light, but I'm worried that in a way it might actually be discouraging women from participating in co-ed. I'm personally someone who doesn't often participate in co-ed because I like to have a day to enjoy the host city where the tournament's being held, and I get so much more playtime in women's ball. I also think, though, that it's a really smart method if you've got some girlfriends who are really athletic and they've been playing basketball or softball and they're looking to get into kickball. It's a really good way to start. So way, it could be potentially a really good feeder operation into them playing co-ed, which is great. Cool. So let's talk about kickball fame. All of y'all have been playing for a little while. I know Chevy was saying she's a little bit newer to the circuit, but she obviously has her Atlanta friends and fans. So when you think of the term, what does that mean to you? How would you define it? Do you consider it a good or a bad thing? And then most importantly, what we're all most curious to know, who do you think of when you hear the phrase? And Kate, I'm going to start with you on that one.
Sure. Okay. So I've put a lot of thought about in this because, as you know, we've talked about, quote, kickball famous on, offline. So I feel like kickball famous has 4 different things, and it's either you're known for your talent, you're known for the work you put in, you're known because your presence is always felt or always seen, or you're known for we allowed to cuss on this, your F-ups. So like, starting backwards, for instance, like before I even knew anything about kickball, like I knew who the people were that were, I guess, more infamous than famous. Like, I mean, I don't mean to name names, and I don't know these people personally, so I don't want them to take this personally. But like, the first thing I knew was that Brent was sexist, and then the second thing I knew is that a lot of people hated Bez. Like, that's all I knew. That's all I knew about the circuit kickball talk. And then, like, all of a sudden, you transfer into women's. When I finally got into women's, and like, you've got the Macy's and the Taras and the Allies and the Bennies that are just known because A, they're like at every tournament, and B, because everybody knows them. And they're always talked about on the circuit talk boards, or they're up for some sort of award at the end of the year, etc. And then work, obviously, like, the people that make your jerseys, like Brick or Callie or this girl named Sybil. Got to rep the KBS right here. So that's, I mean, I think it can be a bad thing, for instance, if you're infamous rather than famous, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of us think it's pretty cool to be well known in the kickball community because we spend a lot of our time and our money and our passion here. So
yeah, that's great. Great response. Amy, how about you?
So I think kickball famous would just be anybody who's known, like not necessarily personally known, but their name. Like you can go to a tournament and say, I don't know anybody on that team, but I know who that person is just because you've heard their name or you've seen videos or you've seen them around. And I guess it could be good or bad depending on why they know your name, So I guess if it's for a good reason, then it's great. But if it's for a bad reason, probably not.
Well, then so my ambition is to only focus on the positive. Let's say you believe kickball fame to be a good thing. Who do you think are shining examples and popular girls of women's kickball?
Popular girls of women's kickball? I would probably say Tara, Kat. You've heard of all of them. Retta. I don't know. There's a long list of people that I'm sure you've heard all of their names.
Because of their talent and obviously super kind hearts and willingness to involve other people, right?
All for great reasons.
All for great reasons. Perfect. All right, Chevy, how about you?
Depending upon who it is or think of infamy. But I like to say opportunity. I hear about a lot of people being in jail, I guess, or in trouble for posting a lot and having their own pages and polls and stuff all day. I don't know going on. And you also hear about people that are infamous for encroaching or on the positive side, though, I think the best things like shot fire, see them on the field, they're gonna bring it. Flying B, all heard about them just being known for, being a really great squad along with All In, came in 2016, CCC stole the show. Bombshell's always been a great squad. Yeah, so that's what I think of when I hear about Famous. And then Macy, of course, I always known Macy, even though I'm new to the scene. She's always here and there and always so pleasant to talk to. So
Great. That's a great list. I actually had Macy on my list as well. I think Macy does a really good job. I mean, she's obviously known for hosting this podcast, but she also is, the first person to put together that really scary powerhouse availables team. And obviously for DC, it's no exception. So we're looking forward to seeing another really good availables team from her. And that's a really good way of making a name for yourself. She's coming off a victory. From a couple weeks ago in Portland. I possibly selfishly put Miss Jenna Meyer. She's at least very well known here in Louisiana, and I think her reputation precedes her in circuit as being, super fun and kind of a party girl. And I see the same with Allie. They're both very fun, and they're fun on the field, and they're somehow also like a serious threat to play against. And I think that fame kind of involves having a balance between really talented and really awesome. So I think kickball fame is great, and I'm glad we're all on the same page with that. So speaking of talent, let's move into our next topic of standout bunters. And so we went ahead and prefaced this by saying they don't have to be attending this tournament, but I'd love to hear maybe who, if you're out in the field and they're starting to lead off, afraid of, and even if your catcher or your charger makes a great play, you got to be concerned about them either because they're laying down something perfect or they're just so fast you can't keep up with them. Jamie, let's start with you.
It's really tough because I don't know a lot of people's names. So there's a girl that comes to mind, but I don't know her name. She was the leadoff for what used to be Anna, but I don't think that exists anymore. So I'm not sure where she is now, but it didn't matter like where she put the ball. She was going to get on base, and then she rounded and she, kept going and going. So she always seemed to score.
Yeah, good call. Kate, how about you?
Okay. I'm in the same boat as Jamie. Like, I know a lot of names, so like I know who, a bunch of the good bunters are. I don't necessarily know them personally. So like Lisa Newton or Smalls from Vijay, or Danny Price from Lisa Frank, or like Molly Smith from Bombshells. But like, I don't know. I find that even though I know there's standout individuals, like I'm more focused on the teams themselves. Now, keeping in mind that I haven't played a lot of the East Coast teams yet, except for like maybe the Union and I don't know, DMV 18, I think we're at Pennsylvania. Like, I think like just overall, I think especially this season, Lisa Frank kickball, just as bunters in general, are like this crazy force, because even like their big kickers are also really good at bunting, and they just look really scary on the field. I don't know. Apparently they practice like twice a week just bunting, which I think is pretty hardcore. So
that is hardcore. It seems well-deserved that they should be really good bunters for that then, right?
Yes.
All right, Chevy, how about you?
Man, well, as a catcher, it's a couple people that when I see them walk up, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get on my horse now. When I get those thoughts, I think of, they call themselves the Littles. So that's Small World, VJs, Janelle Calloway, Stacy Squints, and then also Macy. She's always usually gonna, try to get on. Retta, I take pleasure in getting her out. And then Rhonda from Shots Fired. I think she's pretty dope too. And I think her name's Becca from Bombshells. So.
Oh yeah.
Becca Lewis. She made my list as well. And you know what the thing about Becca is? Not only is she a really good bunter, but she's almost always the leadoff. And so her song comes on, you're like, and then you think you got her, and she does some crazy Superman dive into first base, and you're like that's a one base you don't have to slide into, and there she goes. I get anything. I also have a lot of the same on my list with those small, fast women. You've got Lil Bit as well, who can play leadoff bunter in co-ed. Like, it doesn't matter where she's playing. She's going to do great, and she's going to be fast, and she's going to be right on point. I wanted to make special note of Shannon Selman. She bunts with the outside of her foot. I've never seen anything like it. She's just like, whoop, and there it goes, and it's perfect every time. And then Barbie Burkell, she's on Lanyap with me. She actually, one tournament at the end of it, had a perfectly ball-shaped bruise on her calf because she hits it in the same place every time. Blows my mind. That's just incredible form, and obviously a symptom of really good practice. Feel like I've given y'all a sufficient amount of time to feel comfortable, so we're gonna go ahead and do our first MFK. I know y'all are really excited, and I was really nervous, but I had Macy go ahead and handle this one for me, so she's gonna step in and help me. But in light of the fame and in light of the talent, I'm gonna go ahead and focus on the team for Loco, who just played in Portland. They made a pretty good name for themselves, and just a side note, the jerseys turned out great. So we're gonna go ahead and start with them. And Macy's gonna, on her end, pull up some pictures for me. But our first bachelor is gonna be Taco, who is John Tavalacci. There it is. That's a great shot, Macy. So Taco is the first one. And then we've got Mr. Jimmy Wilcox. She picked great pictures. I hope to do as well for my next time. And then Mr. Chase Connor. We're all able to see the pictures okay?
I didn't see the first one.
Not at all.
You might need to see Taco one more time. Yes, Taco. All right, so I'll give y'all a couple seconds to kind of peruse your options. I know it's, but all of these gentlemen are aware that they're potential candidates for this game, so I'm sure they're all looking forward to hearing your answers and responses. Kate, you want to?
I hate you so much.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, I got this. This isn't too hard. Because I know Jimmy personally-ish. Like, I see him the most, so I'm gonna go ahead and kill him because I feel like that's less awkward. It's not personal to him, just like that way, like he's out of the equation, and it's not weird.
Jimmy.
Sorry, Jimmy. And then I vaguely know Taco. He has a Taco Cat jersey, which is the only reason I know him. But he seems like a pretty stand-up dude, so I'll marry him. And because I don't know Chase, but I hear he's like super hot, well, I'll do the dirty.
He's super hot. You hear that, Chase? Good to know. This is good publicity for Chase. I'm sure he appreciates it. All right, Chevy, you're next.
Oh man. So first of all, I couldn't really see, but with a name like Taco, I think we should be married just because I love food. And then the guy with the shirt off, the last guy, what's his name?
Chase.
Chase.
Come on, Chase. We'll go ahead and have some fun. Why not? Kill them.
You're going to kill Jimmy too. Damn, Jimmy, you said 2 times.
Sorry. Rest in peace.
All right, Amy, no pressure, but I don't know if Jimmy's going to take too kindly to being killed 3 times.
Well, I actually know him really well. He was the best man in our wedding, so I know that he's a great guy and doesn't deserve to die. So I'll marry him. And the other 2, I don't know them at all, so I think that the Chase guy was cuter in that picture, so I'll go ahead and sleep with him, and then I'll kill the first guy, Taco.
I took special notice to say that you said sleep with him as opposed to him. I
don't like using the F word.
Okay, that's fair. That's also easy for that then. You can use that in the privacy, of your own intimate setting with Chase.
Yeah.
So I had the great pleasure to stock these beforehand because that's like the top privilege of being the hostess. You get to see the MFK, contestants beforehand. So I've been ruminating this all day. I sadly am gonna have to kill Jimmy as well, but only because I could not possibly pass up Chase's beautiful arms, which I took a notice to. I have this fantasy as someone who is 5'10" and 150 pounds to do the Dirty Dancing move, and there haven't been many men who can wield all of this over their head, for a good amount of time. So I think that's possibly my best case scenario there. And then I'm going to marry Taco because I actually know Taco and I treasure him. And I think he only knows me because I wear a skirt every time for kickball, and it's not like a well-known moniker, but I think I'm going to go with Taco.
So you're saying you're kickball famous because of your skirt. I like it.
I am kickball famous because of my skirt. And just designed me the most magical skirt for my travel team. So I'm very, very excited to wear it. And everyone will see it and they'll be like, you know what? We think we should wear skirts too. And then Taco will never be able to recognize me. That's all I had going for me.
I actually have a skirt I wear on occasion.
Jamie, I knew we were kindred spirits. That's all right, Chevy, I don't mean to put the spotlight on you, but Macy in her list has a spotlight on you, so we're going to do it. I hope you're not too nervous. We went ahead and did MFK already, so you should be like primed and ready to go. But there is a rumor that you were on Knockout with Kevin Hart, and it recently aired. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Yeah, I was just on television this past Friday. And yeah, I talked a lot of shit. Then I couldn't breathe. So yeah, all I know is this. Next time I'm gonna train for like a tournament, I'm gonna go to like one of those jumping places with the kids, and I'm just gonna jump into things with the styrofoam balls, because that is a workout in and of itself. That shit is hard to get out of. So yeah, but it was really fun. It was really, really fun. Kevin was really cool, and every cheerleader I see for a while is probably going to get tripped.
I love that you're on a first basis with Kevin Hart. You just called him Kevin without the heart.
We're best friends now.
Oh, shit. Y'all, see, this is kickball famous. We should have started with this. I'm sorry I didn't give you your due, Chevy.
It might be in my head, but we're best friends.
Oh, no, you're best friends. I'm certain of it. Now, Chevy, since we have all this pressure on you, we've got the Georgia Kickball Open coming up. That's a big tournament for the apparel partner of 365 KBS, because that's kind of like our home base. And it's kind of just a tournament that has a huge turnout. It's in a really good spot. A lot of people can hop a cheap flight to Atlanta because it's such a massive airport. I think it's the biggest in the country, or second biggest. It's up there. So I was curious if you could tell me a little bit about, now, I mean, you were on All-In, you're debuting on Flying V. I kind of wanted to know your opinion if you think Atlanta teams are growing or if they're kind of just taking their talent and they're merging. There's been a whole lot of like caustic changing happening, and I'm kind of just wondering your insight on it.
I really feel like Atlanta teams have been pretty consistent in terms of the talent. We have a lot of talent in Atlanta, and I think we do well because we have league ball pretty frequently, in addition to just waiting around for tournaments. So we get a lot of practice in there, but don't really merging. I think we may have lost one or two teams. One team doesn't travel as much. Overall, we still have quite a bit of teams and a whole lot of talent. So I'm looking forward to that tournament in particular because, yeah, we got to keep it in Georgia this year.
Yeah, am I sensing an early prediction that VJs are taking GKO then?
Oh, VJs is taking everything from here on out.
Oh! So. Does that have something to do with you playing on VJs?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's time to fly, baby.
All right. Well, I'll give that to you, and I like your confidence, but my team is going to Georgia, so I can't give you full props quite yet, but we'll be on the lookout for you for sure.
Okay.
So speaking of the Georgia Kickball Open, one of the topics we wanted to cover was a redo moment. And so this is a twofold question. So let's talk about if there was a tournament you missed that you had so much FOMO and you were like, man, I can't believe I missed this tournament. Or maybe it's a tournament that you've missed a few times because you're like, the breweries there are great, or I love the strip clubs, whatever your reason for it, you're bummed you missed it and you can't wait for it to come back. Or perhaps a tournament that you did attend and you were like, dang, I should have stayed home. This was not worth the stress I put on myself. Like I wasn't ready to play, or I personally just hated the field, or this city was dumb. Whatever it is, I want to hear your feedback on both of them. And Jamie, I'm going to start with you on this twofold question.
Okay. I'm going to go with I wish I had gone to Chicago this past year.
I wish you had too.
Yeah. Hammerheads is my co-ed team, and they went and they did well. And I think that was the first tournament that they went to since I was a part of the team that I wasn't able to go. Maybe. I think so. So it was just really, I was just bummed sitting at home, like watching the video and like, man, screaming from my couch. So I just wish I was there.
And have you had a tournament that you went to and you were like, gosh darn it, this wasn't even worth it, and maybe why was it maybe not the best experience?
There was one. I think it was Atlanta like 2 years ago, maybe. I can't remember which one it was actually, but the only reason I would say that I wish I didn't go was because while I was gone, my car was towed, and I was only there for like 48 hours. I had to like run from the fields to the airport, so I didn't really get any chance to enjoy the city or do anything. I literally like showed up to play, shower, and then go back home. And while I was gone, my car was towed. So it was just like, why did I even come here?
Plus, Atlanta traffic is like such a bummer to me. I think I actually enjoy the city of Atlanta very much, but that traffic gives me like anxiety and stress and like rage. You know all about it, don't you, Chevy?
Hey, I can't say anything to that.
Here's the thing. I'm a New Orleanian. We're supposed to hate Atlanta and the Falcons and everything inside of Atlanta, but my job is in Atlanta, right? And so I've kept a really open mind about it, and I've actually really enjoyed the rolling hills and the mountains and everything, because that's like some wild shit for down here. But that traffic though.
You can talk about the traffic, not the Falcons. Okay.
I'm not going to say anything about the Falcons until I see you in person, and then it is on, girlfriend. You know what, Preza, since you have so much to say, Preza, Chevy, since you have so much to say, why don't you go ahead and chime in next? Which tournament were you really sad to miss?
I kind of hate I haven't made it to an LA tournament. I don't make it to this one either, but just so I can have that experience of going to the West Coast and playing kickball, I think that would be pretty dope. But what's more pressing is the one I should have missed. I'll take you back to circa 2016. It was my first tournament. Went to New Orleans, your place, matter of fact, and it was tsunamiing outside. It was extremely wet, to the point where they had to hold off and take us to a whole nother field. And okay, so the real reason why I hate that tournament, I did not tag up on a play, and I ran from first to second to third, and then when they caught me that I didn't tag, I cut across the field back to first, and it was totally embarrassing. And it held up the game for like another 20 minutes, and they had this whole debacle about whether or not it was you have to go back through the field to play or go back in the line you came. It was totally embarrassing. But yeah, anywho, I probably shouldn't have brought that up. But that's the tournament I should have missed.
Tell me though, did you have a good time in New Orleans?
Man, I did. The food was great. But yeah, no, I should have skipped that one.
Say who dat? Is that like?
Say what now?
Who dat?
No, I said I should have skipped that one.
Uh-huh. Kate, I see you acquired a friend. I'm hoping we can do next. Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I get FOMO. It's real. It's always real. And it's usually just because people that I would really like to see or play with are at a tournament. So for instance, this year, like Portland would have been great because last year's Portland, I made friends with all the Portland ladies. I happened to be on Availables team that had mostly local Portland ladies. So it would have been nice to see them before I landed on Ish. Out here, I was going to try and play for Super Rad. Of course, that just would have been way too expensive, so I didn't end up doing it. And obviously, I could have hung out with Sybil and drinking beer, but luckily, thanks to Sybil, we found it, and it's awesome, and I found it in Maryland. And then otherwise, it's Chicago, just because turns out that I could have possibly played on an Availables team with Retta and Honey and Emily and all of my favorite people. So that one was a little hard. Plus, apparently, my cousin owns an apartment on the river that I could have stayed at for free downtown. So that would have been nice.
Way to hold out on us for that one.
I know. My bad, guys.
All right. What about a tournament that you went to and you were like, I think Chicago?
I don't know. This one's really hard because I try not to regret anything. I mean, the number one goal at any kickball tournament is to have fun. And if you're not having fun, then what's the point of playing? I've gotten really lucky in the fact that my co-ed team has always put fun first. We might not be the best team, but we have the coolest jerseys and we have the most fun and we don't yell at each other. So if there was ever a regret to have, it would probably be AKO last year. And that's only because that's the tournament that ended up quitting my women's team. And if I had not gone, then a lot of things wouldn't have happened, or I would have seen. And then I still could have played with them for a while because I kind of really miss my old team, even though we have a love-hate relationship. But, you know, otherwise it is what it is. Like, I don't know. I don't want to really regret things, except for maybe Portland co-ed, because it rained. It rained the whole time and it was horrible. And we lost all our games and I never wanted to play again. So, I mean, it is what it is. That's all. That's all.
So is now you get to be a real life kickball mermaid on it. Yes.
Yeah, I do.
I think everyone can agree that we're looking forward to seeing what you've crafted on your Photoshop machine and come up with for them to wear, because I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think we debuted our new jerseys last tournament, but make sure you look at them this tournament because they're very watery. And have Ariel on them, and I feel like you can't really get better than mermaids and Disney in a jersey. So
I'll have to ship you my wig because I think it could totally double as an Ariel wig.
I have that wig. Don't worry, I have it.
I'm not. Cool. Well, for me, I pride myself on my kicking ability. I usually let my nerves get the best of me and can't perform as well as I would like to. But I've heard that Denver is a magical kicker's paradise, and I have yet to make a Denver tournament. And there was a great fortune of it being the last 2 years in a row. And unfortunately, July is always such a crazy month for me that I wasn't able to attend. Actually, it might have been in June. Something more pressing was going on, and I was devastated to miss it, but I really hope that I get the opportunity in the future. For me, the only tournament I regretted, and I don't even regret because I got to see Kate, was Harrisburg. That was the coldest, most rainy, miserable experience I've had in some time, and I didn't get to experience the beautiful city of Harrisburg because I was tied up at the fields both days. But I did have a lovely stay in Harrisburg, so I can't even really call it a regrettable experience. But being out on those fields and not being able to feel your fingers, the rain just not coming to an end, it's pretty bleak. It's almost as bad as the rain in New Orleans, but at least it's warm when it rains in New Orleans. And you can have your drinks wherever you want. So that's always the plus side. I want to touch a bit on the DC tournament. We'll kind of do like a preliminary discussion and then cover kind of our finals and predictions at the end. But I wanted to take some time to highlight maybe some sneaky teams or some sneaky players who maybe you don't have them in your top four, but you're kind of worried about them and you think it's completely possible of an upset and them coming through and kind of, disrupting the order that you've chosen. Amy, let's go ahead and start with you.
Let me grab my list here. I kind of did mapped it all out of what I think is going to happen. I think Nasty Women, I believe is what it's called, would probably be one that I think is going to do really well, but I wouldn't necessarily put them as winning it all, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And yeah, that's the only one that really stands out like that for me.
Are there any players specifically that you wanted to mention? Maybe a player on a team that maybe the team didn't seem super threatening, but this player could be a game changer?
No, I don't really.
No, it's okay, because Nasty Women is filled with nasty women, and they could absolutely be that game changer you mentioned. I'm totally with you. Kate, what about you?
I mean, obviously we all know the top 4 teams are great. I think Life's a Pitch is in there just because we know that Dia and Jordan are pretty much a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, I mean, Nasty Women, obviously it's Macy's Availables team. There's a few returning faces from the tournament that they just won, like Alicia and Becca, and they have some Sims players and Barbies on it. So I don't know. I mean, that's obviously an Availables team that is going to make some moves. And if they don't, I'd be very surprised. Otherwise, I mean, I can always talk up my own team or the rest of the Virginia teams, Jamie. But yeah, I don't know. I think any of those 5, it's their tournament to lose. I mean, obviously Union's the clear favorite because it's their home team. But I don't know.
Tammy, what about you?
I kind of agree. Nasty Women might be a sleeper team just because available teams that has a lot of veterans on it. Oh, by the way, I have a cheat sheet. Thank you, Smalls. You're so great. Love my cliff note. Yeah. And then about that action, that's a veteran North Carolina team. They came to a tournament in Atlanta. They did pretty well. I think they beat Unleashed and a couple others. So not all in though. At the time I was on all in, but yeah, they did really well in that tournament. So I think they might come and have a showing in this particular tournament. But definitely Nasty Women is something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, good, awesome, guys. I would have to say that Life's a Pitch is definitely, I agree, one to keep an eye out for. They're going to be rocking some new full sub jerseys, which is pretty exciting. But I also have had the misfortune to play on the other side of them, and it's always a battle for sure. I did want to mention my girls on Secret Service. I had the pleasure of playing with some of them in Pennsylvania, and while the tournament didn't go the way we did, there were definitely some neophyte players who were really up and coming and really tried to get the grasp on it. And I think they're going to have a lot better results than they did in Pennsylvania. Once they kind of get their stuff clicking together and moving along, I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. I wanted to touch quickly on CCC. It's coming up so fast. I feel like this summer was 3 days long. I haven't even gone to the beach yet, which is not at all like me, but there was so much kickball to play and, so many exciting things that happened that it passed me by pretty fast. But it means we're coming up into the end of the Circuit Cup season and therefore CCC. So it's not really too soon to discuss it. And I'm kind of curious to see who you might be thinking might take it all and might be our next Circuit Cup champion. And Chevy, I'm going to start with you since you have been a Circuit Cup champion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What do you have to say as someone who kind of knows the ropes and knows what it takes to be on top?
I think it seems to me the teams that are expected to win CCC are not necessarily the ones that take it all. And for that reason, I definitely see us VJs taking it all this year. We got some new faces, and I just see us being definitely a top contender. Also think Unleashed, they got a couple new faces. I think when they all come together in jail, they're going to be a top contender. Bombshells always does well. The Union always does well. And Mile High, can't forget them. Are they? They're still a thing, right?
You're still
Make sure I'm still. Okay, yeah. So I always want to be respectful towards the teams that always do pretty well. But yeah, we're definitely going to take it all.
I like her. Cool. All right. Jamie, how about you?
So I'm thinking that I would probably go with the Union. I just think that they kind of have a lot of experience and know what to do when things aren't going their way. They always seem to pull out of it and keep level heads, which I think is necessary to go all the way. So that's who I would pick.
They've definitely gained some attention this year. They've been just really consistent and playing really well. Kate, how about you?
I don't know enough of the East Coast teams. I will say that I'm pretty confident that it will be an East Coast team.
Hey.
I think that the Jays has a really good shot. I think that they were already really good. I think they've added some new people. I think Nicole makes them a lot bigger. I think it's pertinent to just mention how did Denver go? And they were they had 9 girls, and they went to the championship. I don't remember if they won it or not, but I know they were in the championship game. That's a huge deal. Denver is a really deep tournament. So if you have a really deep tournament and you have a very small team going to the finals, did you guys win or what did you guys do, Chevy?
I wasn't there. I can't say.
Yeah. Well, I know you're in the championship. So, I mean, if you have a team that with very few girls goes that deep in a deep tournament, that's always a threat. Otherwise, Unleashed, I gotta shout out to Retta and Honey because I love them. And then the Union. I feel like Atlanta and DC are both going to be tournaments to watch who the top people come out as, because I feel like they're like mini CCCs because they're just so big. So
was Denver the one that Lisa Frank won?
You might be right.
Lisa Frank won
Chicago? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
I don't remember who they played. I just remembered talking to Nicole and her telling me that they went 8 deep in finals and almost. So.
They got some sweet new swag, and they were just rocking and rolling all day. I was at that tournament, and they played great. So if they keep the ball rolling and they keep playing the way they were playing in Chicago, it was crazy to see, because I thought Shots Fired was definitely one of the top contenders to win the tournament. It was a battle at the end. It was really cool. I actually put Shots Fired in my CCC contenders. I also mentioned Lisa Frank. Chevy will be happy to know that I have the Jays in my possible contenders as well. Yeah, I know. I had the misfortune of playing the Jays twice in Tampa on Lanyap, and we could not manage to beat them. It came really close, and it was our first tournament, so I'll give us a small break on that. But just really great pieces, really great cohesive players. And then, of course, the Union. April Kelly is on a tear. She's winning every tournament she goes to. I think they have a lot of really great impact players. They really put it all together, and they've been doing great all season. I'm going to go ahead and roll over to our next round of MFK, which I know y'all are so excited about. It's so fun. And to pay homage to the location of the tournament, we're going to do some DC guys. So maybe y'all might be acquainted as mostly East Coasters. Our first eligible bachelor is going to be Pooh, whose other name is Corey Matthews. There's Pooh. Wow, look at that trophy, ladies. And then we've got Bill, and I'm going to totally mess up his last name. It starts with a C, Castillago. Bill. And then we've got Mr. James Huston of Wide Open. I know, you're just so excited to play, I can tell. Jamie, I'm going to give you some time to gather your thoughts, and then I'm going to have you start us off.
Who?
Jamie.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the name either.
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay, so I think I'm going to marry Bill. Then I'm going to kill, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. The last guy that you.
James.
James, yes.
James.
And then sleep with Boo.
Okay. Did you have any logic you wanted to share with us, or was that just like a done deal decision for you?
I just know Bill, he's the only one that I really have talked to of the three. And I know he's a nice guy. And so I just couldn't. He's on my co-ed team, so I wouldn't want to say I want to sleep with him because it would be awkward. And then I don't want to kill him because he's a nice guy. So I'll just marry him.
It's kind of the logic I've been using to select the fiance myself, so I support you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Chevy, how about you? Chevy?
Yeah, what's the last guy?
That's James Huston.
James, you're gonna die. He's just like throwing the ball out. I don't know. It's just weird for me. So I'm gonna kill him.
He doesn't throw the ball well enough for your standards. Okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of reverse. I don't know. The first guy though, the big trophy, we're gonna F.
Yeah.
And then the middle guy, I guess we'll go ahead and get married then after I've stopped my ways.
Oh, married Bill. Bill's a lucky man. He's landing all these beautiful women. I'm really excited for Bill. Kate, how about you?
So I mentioned that I really hate this game.
I haven't mentioned it, but we're trying to run the only positivity. So what I'm hearing.
Okay. Sorry, I love this game so much.
The game is a challenge that I shall rise to. Kate, I'm so excited to hear about your enthusiasm for playing the game. Please carry on.
I love this game. It's the best. Okay. So, okay. I don't know 2 out of the 3. I know James. James is like, he's crazy. I love him. He's the life of the party. I don't think that I would necessarily marry him any other time, but considering he would not make life boring, I will marry James because at least I know that my life will be like full of insanity and ridiculous and awesomeness.
Yeah.
The other 2, I don't know, so I'm gonna go with big trophy. Obviously, is like a euphemism for something. So I'm gonna go ahead and fuck him, and then I'm gonna kill Bill. I don't know Bill. Sorry, kill Bill, but it makes sense. Kill Bill. All right.
Makes so much sense. Sorry, Bill. I've got to say, I kind of capitalized on the opportunity with Bill. I appreciate the Tarantino reference, obviously, but thing is I'm Sybil, Cybill. Sybil and Bill would be like the most obnoxious couple ever. We'd walk into the bar and they'd be like, "There's Sybil." Like they would instantly just clump our names together, and we would never be able to go anywhere in life. So I'm also going to kill Bill. Sorry, Bill. I haven't yet met you, but I'm sure you're delightful. I think that trophy is also a euphemism for a trophy fuck. So I'm going to go for Corey Matthews. I also dig the Boy Meets World name. I'm going to marry James because he's like the sweetest, nicest, and I love him. And I get the distinct honor and pleasure of partying and playing with him in LA. So I'm really looking forward to that. Great. You guys did so good. Like, really good. I'm so impressed. And I'm sorry I keep saying you guys. I've spent far too much time in the North over the last couple of weeks, and I've lost my y'all, but it'll be back, I promise. Let's wrap up DC, the topic of DC, by getting our final 4 and winner take all prediction. Kate, I'm going to start with you.
Crap. I'm not prepared.
Oh, you're not, Kate.
Well, it's only because I don't know how I didn't look to see how the whatever's line up, and that's just because the schedule's not out yet. So I'll do the obvious ones. I'll say Union, Vijay's, Nasty Women, and Unleashed Final Four. I would totally pick my own team, but I don't want to toot our horn too much. I want us to be that like scary underdog. So even though we're going to win it all, you guys just don't know it yet. I'll put those 4 in the top 4, and coming off their win in Pennsylvania, I'm going to say that Union's going to take it all. They have the hometown advantage.
Great. All right, Jamie, what do you think?
So I have the Union 99, VJs, and Unleashed. And I think that the finals is going to be Union versus VJs. And I think VJs is going to take it in overtime. That's my prediction.
Oh, we have a soothsayer, ladies. Great. I hope you're right, and I hope you put some money on it. It makes me crazy.
Who wants to take a bet?
Yeah, right. In. All right, Chevy, how about you? I know who you're going to pick up, but please amuse us with your final 4.
Well, Smalls and I came up with VJs, Unleashed, Nasty Women, and Union. And I have Nasty. I'm just joking. VJ's taking it all.
I was about to say, girl, we made it this far and you're turning on your team.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. All right. She's got VJs winning it all. Well, I think we kind of all had pretty similar Final Fours. I also have the Union, Unleashed, VJs, and Nasty Women. And I've got to go with the Union. I do think the VJs are going to put up a hell of a fight, and I would not be surprised if they pulled a fast one and ended up taking it. But I've seen the Union play a little bit more often, and damn if there aren't any mistakes. It is cohesive, it is fast, it is like deadly looking. So it's going to be a really great game, and I hope to see some exciting final matchups there at the end. But I think it's definitely going to be an exciting tournament for women's. I wanted to end on kind of a social note. I'm very regrettably not making DC. We're having kickball prom here in New Orleans, and my team is the sponsor bar for it. So I'm up to my ears in crafting and building giant, large-scale lollipops. So I'm regrettably not making DC, but I would like if y'all could entertain our 6 or 7 viewers with maybe some of the social options you're looking forward to engaging in. If it's a great cocktail that you love, or the perfect place to get a taco, or maybe it's this museum that, gosh, it just blows my mind. I want to hear your social list so everyone can kind of build their spreadsheets and mark their maps and make a point of visiting those things. And Jamie, I will start with you.
The only thing that I'm probably going to have time for is maybe dinner on Saturday night. So tell me your best place to eat that's near the fields, because that's where I'm staying.
All right, y'all slide into Jamie's DMs and let her know the best possible place to get a dinner Saturday. Are you looking for something fancy, something casual?
Casual. I want to show up sweaty and filthy in my uniform still and grab some great food.
Awesome. Well, I'll put out a post, with the podcast link and invite everyone to share these options for you. And I hope you find the most magical dining experience. Kate, how about you? You're kind of our local representative of the group.
Local. Especially considering the social hotspot of my weekend is going to be my house. But hey, at least I have house guests, so it makes me feel a little better. Gosh, I don't know. I don't go into DC enough to really remember what the food is. If you want to travel outside of DC, my favoriteest restaurant ever is in Pentagon City. It's called Epic Smokehouse. I haven't been there in a few years, but it used to be my favorite restaurant ever, and I'm looking forward to going again. Otherwise, from what I understand, there is a kickball bar that's like the first ever kickball bar, or historically a kickball bar. I don't know. I don't remember. It's an Irish pub. If anybody knows what it is. I don't remember the Murphy's. No, I don't remember the name. Anyway, there is a kickball specific bar that people apparently should go to. So I was told. That's all I got.
I think it froze.
But it's a beautiful frozen picture, Sybil.
It is a nice picture.
She looks very serious.
Mm-hmm.
Sips, come back. Right.
Let's just move on to Chevy.
Yeah, Chevy, what you got?
Yeah. Go ahead until Sybil gets back.
Okay, funny story. I like zoned out for 2 seconds. So the question was, do you want to know where I'm going to be social or?
Sure.
Yeah, that works. We're social plans or social
rep.
wine.
I have to rep on Saturday, so I'll probably be getting some rest after that, so I can be prepared for Sunday. But Sunday night, I'll probably around this time be somewhere where
I'm
there's.
so sorry, y'all. I lost connection.
Go ahead, Sybil.
Hey, sorry. I'm at this house uptown, and the internet apparently is a little unreliable, but I'm back. Hello.
It's okay, girl. You just didn't. It's okay though.
Girl, all right, listen. So I had to play a kickball game dressed like this. I didn't do it for my health, and in order to get back to my house in time, it just wouldn't happen. So I had to ask my very kind and gracious teammate for permission on his internet to hop in. So I'm so sorry I disappeared, but I'm back. Hello. Kate, I was very engaged in listening about all your beautiful DC options, and I missed the end of the story, but can I trust that you concluded it with a very riveting ending?
I did. Don't worry. Chevy was in the middle of hers. We totally went on without you. I apologize.
Wow, y'all. I'm feeling like maybe Jack at the end of Titanic when she just let them go into that. He's forgotten for the end of the story, and everyone just kind of focuses on the necklace. Debbie, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please continue. Tell me your hot spots in DC, because one day I'm going to make it out there, and I'm going to be like, Chevy told me to go here, so I'm really excited to go.
Oh man, don't listen to Chevy first of all, but not in DC anyway. But I plan to be somewhere where there's something wet in my hand with alcohol content. I don't know if that's my Sunday night.
I think she really just didn't want to hear you talk, Chevy.
Okay, I can go on for days. I was just trying to be courteous, you know.
Help you guys out, just since Sybil's having a little bit of trouble, and I'm sure she doesn't want to go on and off on her first podcast. So I'm going to thank all of you ladies for her, and I think that anyone who's watching and you ladies as the guests can see why Sybil is taking over as a host. She's wonderful and easy to talk to and very fun, so I think she did great on her very first hosting job. You ladies did wonderful. If you have anything else to add or shout outs, now is your time.
I feel like I should have talked about my team a lot more. So I'm sorry, team. I love you. You're like my number one in my heart. Also, Jamie, I just want you to know, since we were talking about Kickball Famous, like I had no idea who you were, but I totally knew you and Curtis's names by the time that I got over here, even though I was on the West Coast. So you're also kind of Kickball Famous. I don't know why I knew your names, but I did know who you were before I knew you. So there you go. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Nice.
I was going to say Macy was one of the people that I knew before I started playing really as well. Like before I ever met her, I knew who she was from watching videos and seeing when you played on Sins and you had like neon shorts with like a mesh over them.
Fishnet shorts got a lot of flack for that. Cool.
Or you hear Macy's song and you just think of her because it's her walkout song and you've heard it so many times that you can't help but think of her. Yes.
I'm terrible with the songs. Like I cannot ever remember whose is whose. I'm just like, oh, I like that song. and I don't catch on.
That's all right. You could be like me and have the opposite problem where I can look at someone and remember their walk-up song from like 2016. It's a sad social determinant. All right, ladies. Well, you've been wonderful. Looking forward to seeing you all in DC. I get there tomorrow night. So thanks for being on the podcast. Sybil's back to sign off.
You know, it just had gone too smoothly for my first podcast. It was moving completely without a little bit of drama. And honestly, we all wanted to see the puppy again. So you're welcome.
Well, bye. He says you guys did great.
There's Portland's stigma about neighborhoods, and I have a terrible prejudice against Uptown, which is the neighborhood I'm in. So for future podcasts, I will be staying in beautiful, wonderful Mid-City, and I will not try and do a full-scale dress-up game and the party in the same night. I can promise you that.
You're great, Sybil. Good job. Good work, everyone, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Have a great tournament.